Okay, so in my last video I spoke about this book, Mistborn, The Well of Ascension, and I talked about all of the things that I love about this book. In today's video, we are going to do a massive rebuttal, because today we are going to talk about all the things I did not love about this book, what I didn't love about Mistborn's The Well of Ascension. Now, in my last video, I gave you three non-spoiler pros, four actually. I gave you four non-spoiler pros, and then I went into spoiler detail after that. I'm going to give you three non-spoiler cons about this book, and then I'm going to go into spoiler detail after that because we have a lot to say. So let's get right to it. My first non-spoiler con about Mistborn's Well of Ascension is that the pacing of the story is much slower than its predecessor, and it is. It is. The pacing slows down to a grinding halt in this book. It's fine. In case you didn't know this already, if you didn't see my last video, I did give this 5 stars because it is a really good book. I'm just picking out the things that I don't love about this book because I have the feeling that people think that I love everything about the Mistborn series because I talk about it so much and say that it's just, so amazing as a series. It is, but there are things I don't love, and that's what we're talking about today. It did get 5 stars from me. I do love this series, but the pacing, God, it came to a grinding halt. It really did. So I do need to mention that. I think you should go into this book thinking that it's more of a character development book as opposed to a fast-paced, heavy action book, which it's most certainly not. My second con about this book is that I was left confused with certain things that the author did, and I'm definitely going to be elaborating on that in my spoiler version. And the third non-spoiler con that I have about this book is the love triangle. There is a love triangle that appears in this book. I won't say more than that here. I will in the spoiler version. But I didn't appreciate things about it, and they need to be discussed because I have issues because reasons, okay? Issues because reasons. You guys, seriously, issues, reasons. I'm going to leave that non-spoiler version right there. If you do not want to know any spoilers at all about this book, then let's wrap this up, and I'll say thank you very much for watching. I definitely recommend that you do read this book. I'm not being paid to say that. I'm saying it genuinely from the bottom of my heart. This series, the Mistborn series, has changed my life. It has changed reading for me. It is an amazing series, and despite the fact that I'm about to go on a massive rant about things I did not like about this book, I still walked away giving it 5 stars because it deserves it. I do not give 5 stars lightly. This year I've only given 5 stars to 3 books. This one, its predecessor, and 1 other book, and that's it. And I've read 17 books so far this year, so that should give you a really big idea that I don't give out my 5 stars lightly. But that's it for the non-spoiler version. Thank you so much for being here. If you're not coming to the spoiler version, I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday and reviews in between, letting you go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Mwah. Happy reading to you. And for those of you who are sticking around, I'm going to pause, and when we come back, the massive rant that I need to have about this book and the things I didn't love about Mistborn, The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. We'll be right back. What? No. No. What? Why? But that doesn't make any sense at all. No. Oh my god. He's dead. He's dead. No. He's not dead. Yes, he is. No. He's not. Yes, he is. No, he's not. Is he dead or is he not dead? As you can see, I have issues with this book. I do. It deserved its 5-star rating. It absolutely did. But we need to get down to the crux of what I don't like about this book, what I didn't love about this book, because there are things, there are reasons, there are issues, because reasons. What are those reasons? Let's find out right now. The first thing I did not like about this book is the pacing. I've already spoken about that. I don't think it needs to be elaborated on. The pacing comes down to a very grindingly slow halt. So I don't think we need to discuss that any further anymore. Let's move on to the love triangle between Vin, Elend, and Zane. Okay. Yeah, guys. I loved Zane in this book. I did. I thought he was an amazing character. Check out my things I loved about this book, and you will see how much I loved Zane. So explain to me why there was only one way or the highway with Zane. Why is it that Vin had to be Zane's love interest, or otherwise Vin had to die? Now, I get it. If you want to talk book canon, you want to talk logic with me, I'll talk it with you. Okay, Zane has this God voice that he's hearing in his head and who's telling him to do these things. Sometimes that he does, sometimes which he ignores. I mean, I would have been very happy for him to kill Straff, but that's another story. But even that annoyed me. We didn't need the God voice either. Let's talk about why. Zane is a Mistborn. Vin is a Mistborn. Vin doesn't know any other Mistborns aside from Zane. Let's go into book 1 to find out why she doesn't know any Mistborns aside from Zane. Vin doesn't know she's a Mistborn. She finds out she's a Mistborn thanks to Kelsier. Kelsier is also a Mistborn. They get along famously. He, basically teaches her everything about being a Mistborn, and they have a wonderful Mistborn life. And if Vin wasn't as young as she is, she's incredibly young, but if she wasn't that young, they could get together and have lovely babies together, because honestly, I love those two. They're a great friendship, and they can relate to each other. Vin didn't have that with anyone else in this entire book, except for the evil guy, apparently. I did not find Zane to be evil. If anything, I found him to be rebellious against Straff. And so the fact that we have to make Zane evil, we have to get rid of Zane before Zane can be properly introduced to Elend as his brother. Hello, plot twist. That would have been really fun to see play out. Elend, meet your brother Zane, who just fought side by side with Vin against the Koloss. I mean, that's just the timeline in my mind. But, apparently not Brandon Sanderson. He wants Zane or Vin to die if Vin doesn't run away with Zane, despite the fact that she's in a relationship with Elend and she doesn't want to leave him behind. Confused? Don't like it. Brandon Sanderson, why? Had Zane survived this book and made it to the end, I would have been so happy if everyone could just get on really well. I understand that we can't kumbaya every single thing in this book. I get that. We can't stand around a bonfire and sing kumbaya. But if Zane had made it to the end, and he and Elend had started getting to know each other, and the three of them, Zane, Elend, and Vin, were in book 3, how amazing would that be? Now, I'm sure there's fanfiction of Mistborn out there somewhere, and I haven't read any, and I don't know for sure if there are. I'm just assuming that there are. But if there is a Mistborn fanfiction story out there where Zane is still alive, and Zane, Elend, and Vin all get on like a house on fire, please direct me to that book, because I want to read it. I don't get what Brandon Sanderson was doing. I did not like this. Zane did not have to die. That is the first thing I don't like about this book. The second thing I do not like about this book is whiny Vin. And that's the only way to put it, whiny Vin. Okay. Vin annoys me at times because she's continuing to question her relationship. For example, do I deserve Elend? Seriously? Seriously, it annoyed me. Why she has to keep questioning this? Yes, okay, she has to keep questioning it because reasons is explained in the book, but I'm coming from an emotional place rather than a logical one. Logically, I get it, and that's with a lot of things to do with Brandon Sanderson's series of Mistborn. There are things that I understand logically, but emotionally, I just don't like them. I just didn't think that we needed that in this book. I don't think it did anything for Vin. I don't think it did anything for Elend. In fact, if anything, Elend was always standing up for Vin. She may not have always been in the room, but hello, let's hark back to that scene with Elend and Tindwall. And Tindwall's saying all this da-da-da-da-da about how Vin is this, that, and the other. And he says, you will not talk about Vin that way, you know? Like, bless him. God, I love him. Why did we need whiny Vin? And seriously, Vin had gone from being a scared, timid creature because of everything she'd gone through at the beginning of the final empire, but by the time we got to the end, she just killed the Lord Ruler. Like, oh my god, this is massive. And then she's whiny, needy Vin in the beginning of this book. And I tell you what, if we get whiny, needy Vin at the beginning of Hero of Ages, I don't think I'm ever going to DNF Mistborn because I just love the world way too much, but god, that will annoy me. Please tell me, don't tell me in the comments below, I'm just saying this to the universe. Please tell me that Vin is no longer whiny. Okay, yeah, oh, another thing. On one hand, Vin is saying, does Elend love me? On the other hand, Vin is saying, Elend wouldn't do this, so I shouldn't do this. Or she'll think about certain things that she might want to do or think or say or ways to act or whatever, but then she'll second guess herself by comparing it to what Elend would be doing in her situation and how she shouldn't do it because Elend wouldn't do it. Vin was such an independent character by the end of book 1. And then she became, I don't know, a wilting flower in book 2. And I just did not appreciate that at all. Even as Lady Valette in book 1, Vin was still a confident character. And here, she's just not confident. Well, not as confident as she could be. Let's move on. Because Vin kind of goes back and forth, and that's why I'm iffy with Vin. I do love her in so many moments, but when she's whiny, needy, or has to question what Elend would do... Okay, you know what? No, we can't move on from Vin because we have to discuss this. Right at the end when Vin... finally discovers the Well of Ascension. This book is called the Well of Ascension, and yet they don't find the friggin' well until right at the end. But anyway, like, seriously, in the last chapter, they find the friggin' well. Oh my god. That's just a gripe that I have with the book. Like, if you're gonna call a book something, can you call it something that has to do with the halfway point and not the last chapter of the book? But anyway, I'll let that go. She finds the well with Elend, and she steps into the well and to get the magical powers so she can save Elend because Elend is dying. Yes, we're going to get on to Elend dying very soon. We're also going to get on to Sazed nearly dying very soon as well. But let's talk about this moment first. She jumps into the well, or steps into the well to gain the magical powers, and it starts burning her and all that, but then she starts, being okay with the powers and realizing all the things she can do, starting with being able to heal Elend, and then she's going to change the world of Luthadel for the better and make things so amazingly good for everyone. And then, out of nowhere, her thought deviates to, oh no, but Elend wouldn't want this. Elend wouldn't do this. So since Elend wouldn't do this, I guess I won't do it either. And I won't take the power. And then, because there's more. So she doesn't take the power. Fine. Like, she should have taken the power, but because I would have taken the power right away. And I don't think it's selfish, because that was her thought. Elend wouldn't take it because that would be considered selfish, so I'm not going to do it either because I don't want to be selfish, but I don't see her as being selfish. She was going to heal Elend for her, but also for him, and then, excuse me, And then she's going to change the world of Lutherdale for the better. If anything, that is selfless as far as I'm concerned. She's not a Scar anymore. She's going to improve the lives of the Scar. How is this selfish? Someone explain this to me while I take a quick breath. And then, out of nowhere, what we find out is that you are meant to take the power, because if you don't take the power and you give it to the entity that lives in the well, then that entity is going to take over everything and the myths are going to become really bad and start harming people. I have issues, people. I have issues. I finished reading this book, and I don't know if you've seen Moulin Rouge or not, but very quickly, in the film Moulin Rouge, they are showing a little sample of what they would do when they turn the Moulin Rouge into a theatre. And right at the end of the preview that they give the Duke turns around and says one thing. I don't like this ending. That's what I said. I don't like this ending. I don't like this ending. I have so much to say about the ending. I'm rapidly running out of time. Okay. So, if she took the power, she will be considered selfish. And so she doesn't take the power, so she's making a selfless decision based on what Elend would do, which I don't agree with, but fine, I'll let that go. But then she made the wrong decision anyway. It turns out this selfish decision would have been the right decision to make, because then the entity in the well would not have come out of the well and started wreaking havoc all over Lutherdale. No! Nay, sir. No, sir. I do not like this, sir. But now, let's talk about Elend. Okay, now, love this guy, don't love this guy. It really comes down to what he's doing. But let's talk about the frickin' vote, because we didn't have a lot of time here, so I can really only stick with the highlights. I had a whole plan, but I don't have time for the whole plan. Okay. So, we're in the chamber area, whatever you call it, with the people, the assembly, and they're voting for who's going to be king, and it's either going to be Penrod, Set, or Elend. Set gets 2 votes, Penrod gets a certain amount of votes, but it ends up being deadlocked, and when the vote is deadlocked, whoever is the reigning king continues to reign as king. Wonderful, Elend wins. But then, nay sir, hold the phone. Some guy who votes for Set sticks up his hand, stands up and says, "Excuse me, but I want to change my vote." Now, here's my issue. I am all for honesty, integrity, loyalty, compassion, all of those things. I absolutely am. But in this book, this is the one moment where Elend should have said, "I'm sorry," and just very respectfully lied, yes, but still respectfully lied, and said, "I'm sorry, but you've already made your vote, so you can't re-vote." But no, because Elend is Elend, because Elend is Elend, he can't go against, he can't lie, he can't go against being honest. He says, "Oh yes, well it does say in the charter that you can re-vote," and then boom, they both vote for Penrod. Penrod wins. What the heck were you doing, Elend? That upset me. I'm not upset with Sanderson, okay, because I think it was brilliantly written. I'm upset with Elend. But let's jump back a little bit. So, they've all reconvened for this vote, but moments before that at Keep Venture, where the assembly is held in Keep Venture, there was an attack by one of the armies. I don't remember which one, but anyway, one of the armies attacks, and Vin saves everyone. And we're all trying to catch our breath, because this was quite a battle. Now, if it were me, I would say, since we had this unprecedented attack during this first vote, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a break. We will come back tomorrow and we'll do the vote tomorrow, so that everyone gets a chance to calm down. But no, apparently no one needs a break, and we're just, people have died here, But that's okay. We're just going to reconvene over there and vote anyway. Moments after this massive attack. I don't understand that. I did not like that. Let's move on to the next thing because we are rapidly running out of time. Okay. Okay. Tensoon Orosaur. Okay, if I might, I'd like to separate the two. To me, Tensoon is the conjurer when he is under the command of Zane. Orosaur is the conjurer when he's under the name of the conjurer when he's under the command of Vin. And I'm separating the two because I love Orosaur. I don't love Tensoon, and I need to separate them in order to be able to honestly do this review because I don't know. I love Orosaur, but I don't love Tensoon. Anyway, okay, let's discuss, shall we? So, when I found out that Tensoon, not Orosaur, which I love that name by the way, Orosaur, it's a beautiful name. When I found out that Tensoon was the betrayer, I did not like this for many reasons. One, emotionally. I had just fallen in love with this conjurer. I don't know whether to call it a he or an it or whatever, so I'm just going to say conjurer, but say it incredibly respectfully that I will not enter into a contract with them because I want them to roam free. I fell in love with this conjurer. Oh my gosh. This conjurer is amazing. Fine, I'll just say his backstory was really wonderful to hear about. His sass is just so hilarious. And then he's the betrayer. Nay, sir. I fell in love with him, and you're breaking my heart again, Sanderson. I'm pointing to his name. You're breaking my heart again, Sanderson. Because again, I fall in love with someone, and something bad happens with them. But anyway, he's so good at making you fall in love with characters. Maybe I should be on guard with The Hero of Ages, the third book. And anytime I think I love someone, I'm going to be like, hang on, are you going to die or are you going to turn evil because I love you too much? Anyway, let's move on. So did not like that betrayal from an emotional standpoint. But now let's go to a logical standpoint. Of all the suspects that could have been the... What's the word that I used? That could have been the betrayer. Sorry. Of all of the suspects that could have been the betrayer, there's no way I ever would have picked out Orosaur Tensoon because of the fact that he lied, and I don't think that there's any way to get past that if you're trying to work out the mystery, which I was. Like, I really appreciated that Brandon Sanderson had a mystery going here. And I'm like, oh, let's try to work this out. This is going to be a lot of fun. Who's the betrayer? But when you have a character that is sworn to tell the truth because of the contract, so they can't lie, and then they lie, it breaks the one thing that you can have absolute faith in, because this is the hard rule of this world. These conjurers can't lie. So if he's saying, no, these bones are too fresh or whatever, okay, then you believe that because he can't lie. He's under contract. Now I get it. Brandon Sanderson made it make sense. He signed a contract with Zane first. Fine. But I felt like the rug was ripped out from under me, and I didn't like that. I would have much preferred it to be anyone else, because at least we would have had a chance at working that out. But I don't know anyone who could have worked out it was Orosaur before it was revealed that it was, because of those reasons. So that annoyed me from a logical standpoint. You build up this character with this law, this LORE law, that they can't lie, and then he lies. So, yes, it's explained, but no, did not like that. Alright. Now let's talk about the deaths with the time that I have left. Okay. Now, who dies? Because I had to write this down. Doxin, Clubs, Jas, and Tindwall. Okay. Doxin. Loved him in book 1. I found him to be, and I'm saying this neutrally, I found him to be expendable in book 2, so that was fine. Look, I feel like I'm a heartless soul if I say I don't care that he died, but honestly, he didn't have as big a role in this book, so I don't feel that it meant as much, where if he had died, say, before Kelsier did in book 1, it would have had a much more massive impact on me. But because he became a very much a side character in this second book, he's hardly there, he was expendable to me, so I just did not care about his death. Then we have Clubs. Again, the same thing, and I really didn't like Clubs at all this time around. I thought he was okay in book 1, but I found Clubs so off-putting from his first line in this book through to the end. So, again, he was expendable to me. Then we have Jas, this guy who was Ellen's friend, but now he's controlling the Koloss, all because he's mad with power. That's fine, he can die too. Tindwyl. I loved Tindwyl, and I was heartbroken that she died, but nowhere near on the level of Kelsier. Not at all. I loved her. I wish she could have been in book 3, but if she had to die, fine, better her than someone else, but her death was the one that I took the hardest, not because of her love for CZ, but because I just loved her as a character, so it's sad that she died, but not as much as Kelsier. But now, in the remaining time, we are going to talk about the should have been deaths of CZ and Elend. Let's begin with CZ. CZ should have died 3 times by the hands of one man, Kelsier's brother, out of anyone, Marsh. So, right towards the end when Vin and Elend find the well, CZ is led by the Mists to try and stop them, or that's what he believes. So he gets to keep set, whatever you call that, let's call it keep set, and or wherever it was. It wasn't keep set, sorry, it wasn't. It was Reddick Shore. I'm so sorry. I'm thinking it's keep set for some reason. He gets to Reddick Shore, and he stumbles into Marsh, and Marsh tries to kill him, and the first time that he nearly dies, I was like, oh my god, CZ's dying, but then he doesn't die because of the medals that stick to him, and he uses that to his advantage. That's fine. More of a rumble between CZ and Marsh, and then he nearly dies the second time, and I'm like, oh my god, he is going to die this time for real, and then he doesn't die. Then we have the third time with the lamp and all that stuff, and I'm convinced he's going to die because one more smash of that lamp against CZ from Marsh, and CZ is dead. And now someone stopped it, and I don't remember who it was, but that's okay. Again, CZ doesn't die. And I was a little bit annoyed by this point because he's going to die. No, he's not. He's going to die. No, he's not. He's going to die. No, he's not. And that just annoyed me. Anyway, so then we move on to Elend. Alright. Here we go. This is an adult epic fantasy written by a writer who has no problems, not one problem, killing off a beloved character. Read The Final Empire. He killed Kelsier to the point where I wanted to star in Misery with Brandon Sanderson in the bed. That's the kind of book we're reading. Elend is on his deathbed. He has been slashed in the gut by the mists or by the deepness, whatever it is, that mystical fog. Anyway. And that's fine, and he's dying, and I thought, okay, yep, Elend is Kelsier 2.0. It makes sense that he's going to die. That's fine. And Vin goes to take the power, but then decides not to take the power. And so even Vin has accepted that he is going to die, but it's the selfless thing to do in her mind, even though she has completely effed the whole thing up. But that's fine. I'm all on board with that. Everyone's on board, including his love, Vin. His wife, I should say, Vin, is ready for him to die. He is splitting out Bud. blood. He's about to have his last breath, and then the mist points to a cracked clay pot where there's basically this ball of metal on there, and then shoves it down his throat with the vial of metals that she has on her with the solution of metals so that he can get it down his throat, and then he survives miraculously. Nay, sir. No, 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 no. No. This is not a middle grade or a YA fantasy. This is an adult fantasy by Brandon Sanderson, who is totally fine to kill main characters. If you're going to save a main character that is not going to die in an adult fantasy world, why do it with a plot convenience? This is the very first time I have experienced Brandon Sanderson using a plot convenience to save a character, and it did not work for me, and it's still grating on me, as you can see. This is a very long book. It's like 763, sorry, you didn't see that. There we go. This is a 763 page book, so it is a tome and a half. But I would have had no problems, not one, with Sanderson adding 2 chapters to make Ellen's survival not have been a plot convenience. I would have been much more on board with that. But the fact that he is about to die, he is on his last breath, and the mist points to a cracked clay pot a few steps away that just so happens to have the magic little metal ball that he swallows, and that's what keeps him alive. No, 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 no. So, let's look at this emotionally and then logically. Emotionally, yes, I am grateful and very thankful that unlike the Final Empire, 2 characters that I absolutely love, Ellen and Sazed, did not die. Emotionally, I love that. Logically, I'm still finding it hard to wrap my head around. I only finished this book last night, so, it hasn't even been 24 hours yet, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that Ellen survived in a Brandon Sanderson high fantasy adult book thanks to a freaking plot convenience. What are you doing to me, Brandon Sanderson? What are you doing to me? Why are you cheapening your own book? Now, I get it. We're going to have to wrap this up. I get it. I do. It's made him an Allomancer, and I'm excited for that, but the plot convenience just didn't work for me. My camera's going to cut out, so I'm going to have to wrap this up here. Thank you so much for watching. If there's anything else you want to discuss with me about this, comment below and let me know, and we'll discuss it over there. Peace, blessings, and so much love to all of you. I post videos every Monday and Sunday, and I do reviews in between. Happy reading, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Bye, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye.